and themes, which this week we're revisiting last week's theme of ease. And this week we're also adding in the ideas of fluidity. So some kind of flowing fluid movements that help to sort of decompress some of the intensity of Pitta. So when we're working with Pitta dosha and we hold postures for a long time, we can get really kind of myopic and intense in those postures where we just like want to go a little bit further, go a little bit past the edge, see if we can get a little bit deeper stretch. And so adding in some fluid movement helps us to kind of move past trying to go deeper and do more. It just gives us a little bit of softness and some of that intensity of Pitta. So we'll just do a real nice kind of gentle flowing practice together this afternoon. We're going to start down on our backs. And if you like to have a strap, when you straighten out your leg from your back, kind of reach up for your toe, you can grab a strap. But we'll also have options for doing this without a strap. So if you don't have a strap handy, that's okay as well. And as you come down onto your back, please just make yourself as comfortable as you can. So you can stretch your legs forward like you're resting in Shavasana at the end of practice. But if that doesn't feel good for your low back once you're getting started here, you can bend your knees and have the soles of your feet resting on your mat. And then just let your arms come to rest wherever they're most comfortable, either along your sides or with your hands resting on your belly. Or you can even take your arms up alongside your ears, let your elbows bend so you have sort of a soft cactus shape to your elbows. And then if you'd like to have any support underneath the back of your head, you can use a blanket, or if you're at home and you have a pillow nearby, you can place a pillow underneath of your head. And once you have your body arranged here, start to bring some attention to your breath. And just beginning your practice by noticing that you're breathing. So without trying to make any changes or manipulate your breath in any way, just practice taking note. There's breath moving in, and there's breath moving out. And as you're watching the breath flow in and flow out, begin to develop some rhythm to your breath. So you might count how long it takes for you to breathe in. And then either match that same count with your breath out or extend the length of your breath out 1 or 2 extra counts. So your rhythm can be balanced and equal, breath in and breath out. Or your rhythm consists of a shorter breath in and a longer breath out. The exhaled portion of the breath we consider the more cooling portion of the breath. The exhaled portion of the breath has a decompressing quality to it. So start to shift your awareness just to your exhale. And with your next few exhalations, just feel your body start to soften. You might check in with the places where you know that you hold tension, maybe your neck or your upper back or your shoulders. Maybe you hold the tension in your low back, your hips. Just using that breath out to soften a layer deeper each time you exhale. And we'll take 3 more breaths in that same way, softening more with each breath out. And when you finished 3 more breaths, if they're not already, bend your knees, place the soles of your feet on your mat, and walk your feet as wide as your mat. So you want to step your feet all the way out to the outer edges. Let your knees align with your feet. So the feet and the knees are both wide. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, let the knees drop towards your left and roll your head towards the right. Then on your breath in, let the knees point back up to the ceiling. Roll your gaze to look straight up. And as you exhale, let both knees drop to the right. Roll your head to the left. With a slow breath in, both knees point back to the ceiling. The head rolls back to center. And with your breath, you'll go 2 more times to each side. The knees and the head dropping in opposite directions. And just moving very slowly, gently, and fluidly with your breath. As you're completing this last round from side to side, you might even have the image of moving through water, and allow the air to provide the same kind of resistance that you would feel if you were trying to make this movement in a pool of water. As you're completing that last round, both knees and your gaze point back up towards the ceiling. You're going to walk your left foot back in line with your sitting bones. So your left foot comes back in line with your hip. And then your right knee will come up to your chest. Your hands can come down to hold your shin or the back of your thigh. And we're just going to make a few pulses with the breath here. So when you inhale, your belly will expand, and you want to have some space for your belly to grow a little bit bigger. And then when you exhale, your belly will contract. And as your belly contracts, squeeze your thigh in a little closer to your chest. And then when you inhale, make that space for your belly to expand. And when you exhale and your belly contracts, squeeze your thigh and your knee in towards your chest. One more time, letting your belly expand, make some space. And then as you exhale, let your belly draw back and your thighs squeeze in. And from there, transitioning to have your right hand on your right knee, and just let your left hand come down to rest on your belly. As you inhale, open the right knee out towards the right side. And then as you exhale, bring that right knee back to center. Inhale, supporting with your right hand, open the right knee out to the side. And as you exhale, bring the knee back to center. One more time when you inhale, using the hand to support the knee as it opens to the right. And then exhaling back to center. Now sliding both hands behind your thigh, or using your strap if you have a strap handy here. You'll take the strap around the arch of your foot if you're using a strap today. Otherwise, the hands are just holding on around or behind your right thigh. And when you inhale, straightening the right leg, that heel is going to reach up to the ceiling. And when you exhale, re-bending the knee, the heel comes down towards the hip. As you inhale, stretch the leg long. And as you exhale, bend the knee, bring the heel towards the hip. Inhale to straighten. And exhale to bend. And one more time, we'll inhale, straighten that right leg. This time you're going to hold the right leg straight. As you hold the right leg straight, just stretching through the back of your right leg, hamstring muscle. You'll feel a little stretch in behind your knee. You might feel a little stretch right up by your sitting bone. Maybe you'll feel some stretch down in your calf. So just notice the sensations that you're feeling in the back of your right leg. And if you notice that those sensations start to become intense, or you start to get very focused on stretching more, then you're going to invite some fluid movement into your right leg by swaying the right leg in and out, like you're just very lazily waving hello to the ceiling. Okay, so you're just being mindful of your intensity today. And if the stretch becomes intense, or if your focus on stretching more becomes intense, invite in that softness of fluid movement. And we'll take one more breath in and out. And then as you inhale again, if you're using a strap, you're going to transition both ends of your strap into your right hand. If you're not using a strap today, your right hand is going to support your right outer thigh, and your left hand is going to come back to rest on your belly. And then with your next breath in, you're just going to let that right leg fall out to the right side. So this time a straight right leg as you open out to the right. And then as you let that right leg drop off to the right side, you really want to focus on keeping the back left pelvis down on your mat. So if you start to roll whole body towards the right, let the right leg lift above the floor just a little bit and draw the back of the left pelvis onto your mat. It can be a little bit helpful if you still have your left knee bent and your foot on the floor to let your left knee open towards the left just a little bit here. And that can help bring you a counterbalance to that right leg acting as a lever. Take one more breath in and out. And then as you inhale, lift the right leg back up towards the ceiling. And on your exhale, you're going to bend your right knee to your chest. If you've stretched your left leg forward, go ahead and re-bend that knee. If you're using a strap, take your strap off to the side. And then you're going to cross your right ankle on the front of your left thigh and take your right hand to your right inner knee or your right inner thigh. Keeping your left foot on the ground, press your right leg away from you to get more external rotation in your right hip. And then as you inhale, just release that press and let your knee bounce back to neutral. As you exhale, press with your hand, more external rotation, a little bit more stretch in that right hip. And then relaxing that pressure as you inhale, the knee just kind of bounces back to neutral. As you exhale, press the leg away. And then inhale, relax, and let the knee bounce back. But as you exhale, now you're going to lift your left foot off the floor, left knee towards your chest. Hands can go down and hold around behind your left thigh. Or if you have a strap here, you can thread that strap behind your left thigh and hold one end of the strap in each hand. Then as you hug your left knee in towards your chest, you're going to let your pelvis rock a little bit from side to side. So just a very slow sway back and forth. And as you rock your hips from side to side, you'll feel that stretch in your right outer hip start to change its location. So with that rocking motion, you're just letting the stretch move about through your right outer hip without letting the stretch be too focused or too intense in any one place. And take one more breath in and out, still rocking the hips from side to side. And then as you inhale, come into stillness. And on your breath out, you're going to let your left foot come back to the floor. Slide your right leg all the way across your left leg so your inner thighs touch each other. And then roll all the way over to your left side. And as you roll over, you want to come all the way onto the left side like you're going to take a little nap. And then you might bring in a block or a blanket under the left side of your head to level off your neck. And as you inhale, stretch your right hand straight up towards the ceiling. And on your breath out, start to roll your chest open towards the ceiling. Try to keep the knees dropping down towards the floor. As the chest opens to the ceiling, the right hand reaching over to the right side of the room, or you can bend that right elbow like half of a cactus. Your gaze can be straight up at the ceiling, or you can rotate your head more towards the right and look over your right shoulder. Breathe in. And on that slow breath out, try to soften and relax your intensity. Breathe in. And on a slow breath out, soften and relax. Let's take one more breath in. And again, that relaxing, softening breath out. And on your next breath in, roll to your left side. And then as you exhale, return onto your back, uncross your legs. Use your feet to help shift your shoulders and your hips back into the center of your mat. And then once you come back into the center of your mat, you want to have both heels aligned with your sitting bones. So your heels are about hips distance apart. Knees are bent, feet on your mat. Arms along your sides, palms facing down towards the floor. And then you're going to tuck your tailbone just a little bit. Feel your low back come to your mat. Press into your heels as you inhale, lift your pelvis, roll your spine up one vertebrae at a time. And then as you exhale, slowly roll all the way back down. Tailbone tucks just a little bit. Feel the low back on the mat. Press into the heels, lift the pelvis. When you inhale, roll the spine up and away from the floor. And as you exhale, slowly roll back down. And one more just like that. When you inhale, tuck the tailbone, press the heels down, lift the hips, and then roll the spine up. And as you exhale, roll all the way back down. Once your pelvis comes back to your mat, right foot's going to stay on the ground in line with your right hip. Bring your left knee to your chest. Hands can go down to hold your shin or your thigh. Take a breath in, make space for your belly. And then as you exhale, pull that left knee in a little closer. Inhale to make space. And exhale to squeeze in. Inhale, make some space. And as you exhale, squeeze it in. And then holding with just your left hand, let your right hand come down to rest on your belly. As you inhale, rock the left knee out to the left. And as you exhale, bring that knee back to center. Inhale out to the side. And exhale back to center. And one more inhale out to the side. And then exhale back to center here, transitioning both of your hands behind your left thigh or using your strap around the arch of your left foot. Then when you inhale, straightening the left leg, reach the heel up. And as you exhale, bend the knee, heel down to your hip. Inhale to straighten and reach. And exhale, bend the knee, heel to hip. And one more like that. When you inhale, straighten and reach. And then exhale to bend. And on this next breath in, straightening the left leg, we'll hold here for about 3 breaths. As you're holding the left leg straight, again, just be mindful of your intensity. So if the stretch feels really intense, change something about how you're holding the leg. If your focus becomes really intense, then let your legs sway from side to side and invite in that soft fluidity of the water element. The leg just swaying back and forth. And taking another breath in and out. And then as you inhale, if you're using a strap, you'll transition both ends of the strap into your left hand and reach up. If you're supporting with your hand, your left hand is going to support your outer thigh, your right hand to your belly. And then on your next breath in, straight left leg opening straight out to the left side. As you open the left leg out to the side, be mindful that the back of your pelvis stays square on your mat. If the right knee is still bent, foot on the floor, you can let that right knee open to the right as a little bit of a counterbalance. It's also helpful if you just lift the left leg a little higher above the floor. You can square the pelvis off and then try again, or just hold with the leg slightly lifted, breathing in and breathing out. And we'll take one more breath in and out. And then as you inhale, left leg lifts straight back up to the ceiling, rebending the right knee if you've stretched it forward. And then as you exhale, bring the left knee to your chest. Slide your strap off to the side if you're using a strap today, and cross your left ankle over the front of your right thigh. And then start by keeping your right foot on the floor. Take your left hand to your left knee or inner thigh. And when you inhale, press your left leg away from you. And when you exhale, just relax that press, let it bounce back. Inhale to press. And exhale to relax. And inhale to press. And exhale to relax. And then as you breathe in, lift your right foot, bring your right knee towards your chest. Use your strap around the back of your right thigh, or take your hands down to hold around or behind your thigh. As you're hugging the right knee into the chest, just a little bit of a rock of the pelvis from side to side. As you rock the pelvis from side to side, just noticing how the sensations that you feel in your left hip are moving and changing. Some positions are a little more intense. Some positions release that intensity. Just noticing what you feel here. And then take one more breath in and out. And then as you inhale, come into stillness. And exhale to release your right foot back to your mat. Slide your left leg all the way across so that your inner thighs touch. Good. Then shift your hips to the left side of your mat and roll all the way over to the right side. And as you roll to the right, come all the way onto your side like you're going to take a nap. A block or a blanket can come underneath of your head for support. Then as you inhale, reach the left hand up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale and roll your chest open, keep the knees down. Left arm reaching straight over to the left side, or bent elbow like a cactus. Gaze looking straight up at the ceiling, or rolling your head to the left to look over your left shoulder. Take a breath in. And then on that decompressing breath out, just feel your spine soften. Maybe your left shoulder gets a little closer to your mat. Inhale. And a slow breath out to soften. And one more breath in. And out. And then as you inhale again, roll towards your right side. And on your exhalation, roll onto your back. Uncross your legs, both feet to the floor. Shift your hips back into the center of your mat. And then have your heels aligned with your sitting bones, your knees stacked over your heels. Start with your arms at your sides, palms face down. We're going to add on to that flowing bridge pose now by adding movements of the arms. So your tailbone will tuck. Your lower back comes to the floor. As you inhale, press into your feet. Lift your pelvis. Start to roll your spine up. As your spine is lifting, reach your arms. up and over your head, stretch to the back of the room. As you exhale, spine, pelvis, and arms come all the way back down. Inhale, press into the feet, start to lift the hips. As the spine rolls up, the arms reach back overhead. And on the breath out, arms, spine, and pelvis come all the way back down to the floor. And one more like that when you inhale, hips, spine, and arms all lifting up. And as you exhale, arms, spine, and hips all the way back down. Once everything's back to the ground, pull both knees to your chest. As you hug your knees in close, rock a little bit from side to side, and then roll all the way over to your left side. As you roll to the left, take your right hand to the floor in front of your chest. And on your breath in, peel yourself up slowly from the floor and come around to your hands and knees. As you come around to your hands and knees, blankets underneath the knees can be nice padding. And then blocks at the front of your mat are helpful for lunges. So if you have blocks today, make sure you have both of them at the front of your mat. And you'll start with your hips stacked above your knees and your shoulders stacked above your wrists in the tabletop position. But on an inhale, lift the tailbone. Let the belly drop towards the floor. Stretch your belly, lift your chest, look forward. And as you exhale, tuck your tailbone. Start to round your spine towards the ceiling. Take your chin to your chest. As you inhale, lift your tailbone. Stretch your belly towards the floor. Lift your chest, look forward. And as you exhale, tuck your tailbone, round your spine, and take your chin towards your chest. We're going to do 3 more just like that with your inhale, extending your spine into a back bend. And when you exhale, rounding your spine into a forward bend. Inhale to reverse. And exhale to reverse. And one more as you inhale. Lift the tailbone, lift the chest, look forward. And as you exhale, tuck the tailbone, round the spine, and take the chin to the chest. And on your breath in, come back to a neutral spine. Tuck your right toes under. Slide your right foot all the way to the back of your mat. Press through your heel and stretch the back of your right leg. And then you're going to move the right foot all the way over to the left side of your mat, coming off of your mat and onto the wood floor. And as you reach the right leg across your left leg, you're going to bump your hips to the right. Rotate your gaze to look over your left shoulder. See if you can find your right toes there over your left shoulder. Letting your spine round like the shape of a letter C. Take a breath in through the right side waist and side ribs. And breathe out. And as you inhale, you're going to shift your hips, your head, and finally your right leg all back to center. And then exhale to release the right knee beneath the right hip. Tucking the left toes under as you inhale, slide your left foot to the back of your mat. Press through your heel, stretch the back of your leg, and then shift the left foot over to the right side. As your left toes come off onto the wood floor, let your hips bump towards the left. Rotate your gaze to look over your right shoulder, find your left toes. Let your spine curl to the side like the shape of a letter C, and a big breath in through your left side waist and ribs. And breathe out. And on your next breath in, your head, your shoulders, your hips, and finally your leg back in alignment. And as you exhale, bring the left knee beneath the left hip. As you come back to center in tabletop, you're going to bring your big toes together, take your knees a little bit wider, and then press your hips back towards your heels And let your forehead come down to rest somewhere. So you'll let your forehead either drop onto the floor, fold up your elbows and rest your forehead down on your forearms. Or if you have a block close by, bring a block in and let your forehead come down to rest on your block. And then with your forehead resting down somewhere, let the hips gently rock from side to side. And as your hips rock from side to side, let the forehead roll back and forth across whatever surface it's touching. And stay with your breath here, those shorter breaths in and longer breaths out to help release and decompress. I'm going to take one more soothing breath in and out. And letting your hips and your head come back to center. Walk both arms forward, and when you inhale, come back up to your hands and knees in your tabletop pose. And then as you exhale, just get realigned here so your hips are stacked above your knees, your shoulders are stacked above your wrists, and your props are out of your way if you were using them on your mat. When you inhale, you're going to stretch your left arm over to the left side. Turn your gaze, look at your left thumb. And then as you exhale, left arm's going to dive all the way down and under so that your left shoulder comes to the floor. Your left ear comes down to the floor. And then the back of your left hand is touching the floor on the right side of your mat. But as you get your left shoulder and ear down on the floor, you can come onto the fingertips of your right hand. Press your fingertips down so that your right shoulder moves back to stack over your left shoulder. And then keeping the shoulders stacked, let your right hand crawl up above your head so you're reaching in one long line from your right hip all the way out through your right fingertips. So you get a long side body stretch through the right side, a deep rotation through your thoracic spine or upper back, and a really nice stretch on the back of your left shoulder blade. Take one more breath, in and out. And then walk your right hand back underneath of your shoulder. And as you inhale, press up to your hands and knees. And then exhale, again, just get reset here so the hips are stacked above the knees, the shoulders above the wrists. When you inhale, let your right arm stretch over to the right and look towards your right thumb. And as you exhale, that right arm's going to dive down and under, so your right shoulder, your right ear, and the back of your right hand all come down to your mat. Start by coming onto the fingertips of your left hand to help give you a little push into your twist. As you rotate into your twist, the left shoulder stacks over the right shoulder, and then you can crawl the left hand forward over your head for that long side body stretch. The left hip reaching back, left fingertips crawling forward. And take one more breath in and out. And then walking your left hand back under your shoulder. As you inhale, press up to your hands and knees. This time as you're getting reset in your tabletop pose, your hips stacked above your knees, your hands just slightly forward of your shoulders, spreading your fingertips wide, your first finger or your middle finger pointing straight ahead, and then tucking your toes under. Press your seat back towards your heels and then press into your toes to lift your knees and straighten your legs. Come into downward facing dog. As you press back and up into downward facing dog, you can take a moment to alternate, bending one knee and then the other, and just let your hips sway side to side as you alternate bent knees. And then take one more breath in and out. And at the end of your exhalation, lower both of your knees back to your mat. If you're using blocks today, grab your blocks. Take your blocks at their highest height underneath of your hands and step your right foot forward in between your hands. As you step your right foot forward into your lunge, just take a moment to readjust here so that you have enough space between your front foot and your back knee that you can let your pelvis drop forward and down and bring your left femur bone or your left thigh diagonal to the floor. And then when you inhale, you're going to shift your hips back, straighten your right leg and fold over that straight leg. And as you exhale, rock forward. Again, the pelvis drops forward and the left thigh bone is at a diagonal to the floor. And as you inhale, rock back, straighten the front leg, fold over that straight leg. And as you exhale, rock forward, pelvis drops down, chest lifts. We're going to do 2 more like that. When you inhale, rock back, straighten the right leg, fold over. Then exhale, rock forward, drop the pelvis, lift the heart. And 1 more in a row. When you inhale back, straighten the leg, fold. And when you exhale forward, drop the pelvis, lift the heart. And then we're going to shift back so that the hips are stacked over your right knee, left knee, sorry. And then bring your right knee back to meet your left. Once you're back on your hands and knees, left knee is going to, or left foot is going to step forward between your hands. And again, you're just taking time to make space between the front foot and the back knee so that you can drop your pelvis forward and stretch the front of your right leg. Then when you inhale, shift the hips back, straighten the left leg, fold over a straight leg. And when you exhale, rock forward, drop the pelvis and lift the heart. Inhale, rock back, straighten the left leg and fold. And exhale, rock forward, drop the pelvis, lift the heart. Inhale back. And exhale forward. And then 2 more like that. When you inhale, shift back. And when you exhale, shift forward. And last time, when you inhale, rock back. And when you exhale, rock forward. Then on your breath in, you're shifting back until your hips are stacked over your right knee. As you exhale, take the left knee back to meet the right. And then this time we're going to come to stand on the knees. So you can just walk your hands back with your blocks and take them all the way back along your sides. And then once you're standing on your knees, you're going to keep the right knee directly underneath of your right hip. And you're going to reach your left leg out to the left side. So you're going to be standing on your right knee, left leg out to the left side. And then you can decide what you like to do with this left foot here. So I like to angle the toes forward and down so I can push my whole foot into the floor. Some people like to keep the toes lifted so that the knee and the toes are both pointing towards the ceiling. So you can see what feels best for your knee and for your hip. And then let your left hand come onto your left thigh. As you breathe in, reach your right arm up alongside your ear. Then on your breath out, you're going to take a side bend towards your left, coming into Parigasana or the gate pose. As you lean towards your left hand is going to slide down your leg. And then you're grounding through that right knee and reaching the right arm up and over your head to lengthen through the right side ribs and the right side waist. And then on your next breath in, lifting all the way back up to standing on your right knee. Bring your hands onto your waist. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring this left knee back in underneath of your left hip. And once you're standing on your knees, you're just going to keep your hands on your waist for a very gentle camel pose or Ustrasana. Squeeze the elbows towards each other, lift the chest. You're going to let your tailbone tuck under slightly, lift up your heart, and then press your hips forward as you curl your heart towards the ceiling. We're just going to keep the hands around the waist today. Tilt the chin to the ceiling, look up. Keep squeezing the glutes, trying to tuck the tailbone. Take 1 more breath in and out. And then as you inhale, come all the way back up to standing on both knees. And then this time you'll keep the left knee stacked underneath of your left hip and let your right leg reach out to the side. Toes and knee can point up, or you can angle the toes and the knee forward, just whatever feels best for your knee and your hip. Right hand to your right thigh, left arm beside your ear, take a breath in. And as you exhale, side bending toward your right. As you lean towards the right again, that left knee grounds down, and then that's acting like an anchor so you can reach your left arm up and over your head a little more for that long left side body stretch. And take one more breath in and out. And then on your breath in, coming all the way upright, hands come onto your waist. You're going to bring this right knee back in underneath of your right hip. And then once you're standing on your knees, we're going to transition to the belly. So you're going to hinge at your hips, bring your hands back to the floor in your tabletop, and then you can crawl your hands forward or your knees back, just depending on where you are on your mat. So you can come all the way down to your belly. As you come down to your belly, you're going to tuck your chin, rest your forehead on your mat, and then take your arms back along your sides and turn your palms to face down towards the ground. On your breath in, lift your shoulders, lift your chest, lift your head, hold here and breathe out. Then as you inhale again, use your glutes and your hamstrings, lift your legs, and exhale. Soft and gentle breaths here. As you breathe in and your belly expands, you might feel your torso lift higher. And as you exhale and your belly contracts, you might feel your torso drop a little. So there's a very gentle rocking and massage of your abdominal organs with your breath. And take 2 more breaths. At the end of your second breath, bring your arms forward, stack your forearms one on top of the other. And as you lower down, let your forehead come to rest on your stacked forearms. Once you're resting down, shake your hips a little bit from side to side to release your low back. And then bring your hands underneath of your shoulders. Stay oriented how you are on your mat, but roll all the way over onto your back. And then as you roll over onto your back, if you have a block handy, we'll use it to practice waterfall pose. If you don't have a block today, we're going to do the exact same shape, only the back of the pelvis is going to stay on the mat. So if you're not working with a block today, all you're going to do is from your back, hug your knees to your chest, and then reach your heels up towards the ceiling. So you're kind of like this L shape, torso and pelvis resting on the floor, heels reaching to the ceiling. If you're working with a block today, you're going to start with your knees bent, feet on the ground. Press both feet down, lift your hips, and slide your block underneath the back of your pelvis. You can go at any height that you like, medium or low are best. And then as you rest your pelvis down on your block, then you'll also come into that L shape by pulling your knees to your chest and reaching your heels up towards the sky. So everyone's in just a very mild form of inversion here. The breath still soft and rhythmic. Maybe a shorter inhale and a slightly longer exhale. We're going to stay in waterfall position for 3 more breaths. And as you're completing your 3rd breath, hug your knees to your chest. And place both feet on your mat. If you're on a block today, you want to make sure your block is at its lowest level. And then whether you're on the block or your pelvis is on the ground, you're going to stretch both legs forward and reach both arms overhead. And take a long stretch like you just woke up in the morning. Stay in your stretched out position and stretch the right side of your body a little bit longer. And then stretch the left side a little bit longer. And stretch out equal through both sides. And then allow your arms to come down to your sides. If you're on the block, you can bend your knees, walk your feet back onto your mat. Then you're going to press your feet down, lift your hips, slide the block out from underneath of you. And once the pelvis comes all the way down to the mat, everyone's hugging both knees all the way up to the chest. But as you hug your knees in, rock a little bit from side to side or move your knees around in circles. And take one more breath in and out. And then let both feet come back down to rest on your mat. As your feet rest on your mat, just take a moment to check that your pelvis feels level. Both sides of your pelvis are resting equally on your mat. Check the same with the backs of your shoulders and your shoulder blades, that the shoulders feel level, they're an equal distance away from your ears, and the shoulder blades are touching the mat with the same amount of pressure. Then once everything feels balanced there, one at a time, stretch your legs forward. And let your arms come to rest at your sides, turning your palms up towards the ceiling. Then beginning at the very tips of your toes, take a moment to slowly scan your body. And as you scan up from your toes to the crown of your head, each time that you encounter any tension, tightness, gripping, anything that you would describe as intense, take a deep breath in through your nose. And then, like you're blowing out candles on a birthday cake, breathe out through pierced lips. So you'll slowly scan from the toes to the crown. And everywhere that you encounter tension, a deep breath in. Blowing out slowly through your lips. And just continue that process of scanning all the way up to the top of your head. And using that exhaled breath to decompress. And once you've completed your scan all the way to the crown of your head, relax your face. And let your breath soften. So here your breath might become so soft and so shallow that you barely even notice that you're still breathing. Begin to slowly deepen your breath. And start to invite some small movements into your fingers and your toes. And then begin to make some slow circles with your wrists and your ankles. And finally, bending your knees and placing your feet on your mat. Let your knees rock slowly from side to side a few times. And then eventually hug your knees all the way up to your chest. Once you hug your knees up to your chest, roll over to your right side and rest here for a couple of breaths, starting to lengthen your breath in and out again. Let the breath grow a little deeper. And with your left hand pressing to the floor in front of your chest as you inhale, slowly, slowly peel yourself away from the floor. As you come up to seated, rest comfortably with your hands in your lap or together in front of your heart. And bow the wisdom of your head towards the wisdom of your heart. The divine light in me sees and honors that same divine light in each one of you. Namaste.